Rumors are that allegedly Andy Cohen isn't too pleased with Candiace leaving the show. What's going on? I have some new information that may answer that question and more right after this. What's up, kinfolk, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, do me a favor and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, do me a favor and get notified so you'll know whenever I upload new videos to the channel. All right, kinfolk, come on into the house. We have a lot to talk about, and it centers around rumors that allegedly Andy is begging Candiace not to leave the franchise. What's going on? I have some new information that may answer that question and more, and here it goes. Rumors are that allegedly the real reason why Andy appeared on the Kelly show with both Wendy and Candiace may not be what fans originally thought. Things are bad at Real Housewives of Potomac, said the source, and Andy knows it. Anyone can see that both Wendy and Candiace seem defeated at this year's reunion. The fact that Gizelle and Robin were able to skate by without being held accountable by anyone spoke volumes to fans and apparently to both Wendy and Candiace. So much so that Candiace turned in her 2-week notice immediately after filming the reunion, and allegedly also led Wendy to threaten to quit the franchise as well. Allegedly, when Andy heard of their frustration, he immediately decided to appear on the Kelly show, not only to prove to both Candiace and Wendy that he supports them, but to also try and convince them not to leave the show. The source continued. Behind the scenes, Andy was allegedly begging Candiace and Wendy not to quit, and that next season would be better. Wendy was somewhat convinced, said the source, but it was Candiace who wasn't buying it. She has had enough of the lies and gaslighting, and rightfully so, said the source. Another source said, Andy really wants Candiace to stay and understands that Candiace has played a huge part in the show's success. Her leaving will create a huge void in the cast that can't be immediately replaced. Allegedly, Andy threw everything but the kitchen sink at Candiace in order to get her to stay, even going as far as to promising her full editing control on certain storylines, mainly those storylines surrounding her successful music and acting career. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough, and Candiace chose her peace and her future career over the Real Housewives of Potomac clear biases. Now, kinfolk, that is some information that came across my desk over the weekend regarding Candiace and Wendy and where they allegedly stand with production in the Real Housewives of Potomac. I must say a lot of this information is just not surprising, and a lot of it is not surprising for a couple of reasons. The first reason why I think none of this is surprising to anyone is this. If you have been watching the last couple of episodes of the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion, you can see that something or someone made Candiace and Wendy feel as if they could not fully express themselves. They were very toned back in their delivery. They seemed to be somewhat distant from the some conversations. They didn't feel or look fully present at the reunion, and it was very obvious to tell, especially with Candiace. There were a lot of instances where Candiace really could have gone in on Robin, but it seems as if she held back. And it seems as if she held back because either one, she was told to, or two, she may just be actually over all of these clear biases. And kinfolk, the other part of this reunion that makes this rumor seem somewhat believable is also the fact that the clear biases that we have seen throughout this reunion towards Gizelle and Robin. And it seems as if production is really hell-bent on protecting them at all costs. And so if you are to believe the rumors that Andy was really trying to throw everything but the kitchen sink at Candiace in order to get her to stay, and the fact that she did not take the bait, everyone can pretty much understand and see why. Because it is clear that the fight is fixed against Candiace in favor of both Robin and Gizelle, but mainly Gizelle. So if you have seen these things going on over and over and over again since Candiace first got to the show, and then now you're seeing that it's happening again now to the point to where her husband was falsely accused of something that caused him to lose jobs, and no one did nothing about it. No one held Gizelle accountable. I could see why she would want to leave. It is those clear biases that will make anyone's promise seem a little like a lie, to be perfectly honest with you. Their promises hold no weight, especially for Candiace, because she's seen this play out time and time and time again. Gizelle not being held accountable for the things that she's doing and has done. And when you look at the things that Gizelle has done to Candiace and her family, I can see why Candiace pretty much just drew the line and said enough is enough. Now, Kinfolk, the next part of this rumor, I can definitely see why the reason why Candiace walked away from the franchise again, despite all these promises being made, is this. Candiace, at the end of the day, just cannot trust production, right? She just cannot trust production to come through in anything they might promise her. And the reason why she can't trust production is because it seems as if production, as we said, is not only hell-bent on protecting Gizelle, but they're hell-bent on creating this narrative that Candiace is the villain and not Gizelle. Even though fans are seeing right through it, it's kind of hard for Candiace to come on the show and be herself and be her authentic self, because she knows if she does, it's going to be used against her to demonize her. And that is not what Candiace, I think, signed up for. I think Candiace really signed up to be a part of a franchise where she could express herself, her real self, and hopefully allow people to be either inspired by who she is as a person, or to see themselves in her, or to even learn from some of her successes and some of her mistakes. It's that genuine nature that she came onto the show with that is no longer there, because she sees now the more she's being herself, the more Gizelle uses that to weaponize against her in some of the most horrible ways, i.e. this situation with Chris. So I see why Candiace feels like she cannot trust production, because at this point, us as fans can't even trust production. You saw how when Gizelle just blatantly lied and said that Wendy and Candiace did not congratulate her daughter on going to college. And they clearly did, or did in some type of way, but production so conveniently lost the tape. So I can see why Candiace cannot trust production. And to be honest with you, we all understand why that is. Now, the next part of this rumor that I do also find very interesting, because this person has had a front row seat to all of these things being done. And I'm also surprised that it seems as if she is going to be coming back next season, despite some of the rumors that saying she's not. And it's this. I am completely shocked that Wendy is apparently coming back next season, because she's had a front row seat to the blatant disrespect that production has had for Candiace and even for herself at some point. And it seems as if that the writing should be on the wall for Wendy that this is not a show that is going to look out for the best interests of her and her family. This is the Gizelle show. Wherever Gizelle wants, it goes. Whatever Gizelle wants to do, it goes. And production follows along with it, and it seems as if Andy follows along with it as well. So I'm surprised that Wendy actually wants to even come back to the franchise, or that she's actually coming back. Because sources are saying that it looks like she is coming back, because letting her go, the optics would be bad. Also, with that being said, Candiace not being on the show, it seems as if Wendy will be kind of somewhat iced out, because it's like she has no other ally on the show. No one. Not even Karen, because Karen rides the fence. And we all know that Karen initially didn't even want Wendy on the show. Real Housewives of Potomac is in a bad place, and I think we all can agree to that. And it's because certain people have been allowed to run the show in the ground. And for Wendy to have a front seat to this, I do believe she is coming up with an exit strategy to where she can leave like Candiace left on her own accord in a better position than when she came on the show. I think for right now, everyone's best bet is to allow Gizelle to have this franchise and do whatever she pleases with it. But I can also see why Andy Cohen probably did allegedly beg Wendy and Candiace to stay, because he knows this one thing about Gizelle, and it's this. I really do feel like Andy understands that Gizelle is really pretty much out for self. And when you're out for self and you're not putting the franchise before yourself, that's when franchises end up running into the ground. Unlike Nene did get a big head, but Nene got a big head with production because she felt like she could do what she wanted to do somewhere outside of filming, and production should go along with it. But when it came down to, at the end of the day, everyone knew, from production to executives to even Nene's cast members, that she always put the sake of the goodness of the show over her own motivations and her own ideologies of how she wants or thinks the show should go. She always put the show first, and that is something Gizelle is not doing. It may look like it when people say, oh, Gizelle is like a producer or a ghost producer on the show, and she's doing this for the ratings and that for the ratings, but in actuality, it's not. Gizelle actually is putting her own selfish needs ahead of the show, and the show comes second. And I think Andy knows this, and he sees this, and he knows that he needs Wendy and Candiace to keep Gizelle in check, in line, from ruining this franchise. But kinfolk, I want to know what you guys think. If you are to believe this rumor, because right now it's all alleged information and speculation, do you think Andy really was begging Wendy and Candiace not to leave the franchise in order to save the show? Or do you think he really didn't care whether they stayed or not, and he is pretty much Team Gizelle? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. All right, kinfolk, as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys over the next one. Peace.